Hi friends, Jackie Eicher here, and this is Reading Corner. Pearl is listening from behind me, and I am reading another chapter from The World of the Kalapuya, a native people of Western Oregon. And this is by a couple different people. One of them we know well at First Congregational United Church of Christ. This is from chapter 16. I'm skipping around because I think it's interesting. This chapter is about the travel patterns and anything related to their traveling across the area. The native people developed a land and water trail system throughout the area in which they lived and across the passes of nearby mountain ranges. The extensive trails led to seasonal and temporary camps, as well as to more distant trading areas. Fur trappers and traders, explorers and settlers eventually used native trails. Kalapuya traveled by foot, canoe, or raft. By the early 1800s, a few wealthy members of the bands had acquired horses. In the early 1700s, the Shoshone Indians who lived in the Rocky Mountains acquired horses from the Spanish, who had brought them to the New World, that's where we live, in the 1500s. By the 1730s, the Shoshone were trading to the Nez Perce and Cayuse who lived in what is now northeastern Oregon. Those tribes soon used horses as a primary means of transportation. But the Kalapuya did not. Trails in the Willamette Valley may have been too wet for horse travel to be practical, so the few who owned horses probably used them as pack animals. The native people carried heavy loads of wood, water, or containers of food on their back in baskets or bags. And this is a picture. These containers were made of plant materials or animal skins and were supported by a tumplin, which is a flat strap usually woven. Oof, I need to have my glasses on. These containers were made of plant materials or animal skins and were supported by a tumplin, which is a flat strap usually woven that wrapped around the forehead or chest. A basketry hat could be worn under the tumplin to keep it from chafing the forehead. Traveling baskets, often called burden baskets, were large, rigid, and conical in shape with a wide opening. Kind of like an ice cream cone that's kind of flattened. Woven bags were more flexible and could be closed to protect the contents. Water was carried in watertight baskets constructed of closely woven roots of western red cedar or young sprouts of California hazel. Tumplins, again, came into play when women carried babies on cradle boards. The baby carrier had a wood or basketry frame and was often equipped with animal skins and some type of lacing, with padding inside for comfort. For water travel, the Kalapuya used dugout canoes and rafts, which they sometimes decorated with animal carvings, skins, paints, or bird feathers. Rafts were used to traverse lakes and slow-moving rivers and streams. These were constructed of logs lashed together and were maneuvered with poles. Kalapuya fashioned their dugouts by hollowing out logs. To make them, they felled trees and cut logs to suitable length. With woodworking tools, they created an outer shape and hollowed out the logs by chopping, burning, and scraping. The most common type of dugout was shovel-nosed. Its bow was broad and flat, and it rested low in the water. Dugouts were made in different sizes. A member of the Marys River Band said that the dugouts of his people measured anywhere from 14 to 30 feet in length. An early explorer wrote that the Yoncalla, the southernmost band, used a different type. With a long, narrow bow that stood high above the water, a Yoncalla dugout resembled those used on the Columbia River by the Chinooks. Perhaps it was traded upriver from the lower Umpqua people. Paddles measured from 3 to 4 feet in length. In shallow, swift-flowing water, the travelers guided their craft with hardwood poles that measured about 10 feet long and a couple of inches in diameter. And here's a picture of a dugout canoe. And there's a hare in there, too. Pearl is alerting me to the fact that someone is vacuuming outside the door. Friends, next time I'll bring you another chapter from this book. Pearl.